computer. Okay. So what I want you to do is at the top of your page, let's put a title here. So we're going to call it Pre-Skills Video 1. I like always having a date. What is today? 8/25. Okay. And then when you take notes, one good strategy for taking notes, and maybe you guys have seen this before, is you kind of like divide your page into two parts. And like you could do half. I usually like to do a little bit more, like 2/3 on the left and 1/3 on the right. Okay. And on the left side, we have like notes and examples. That's the stuff you're literally just copying from the video, right? And on the right side would be like comments. Those are the things you either, maybe you hear me say in the video and you think is important to write down, or it's something that comes up in your mind or like a reminder to yourself, okay? And so let's get going. I'm gonna try to see if I can make, can you hear me talking in the video? I can't, which is the problem.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Is your volume on? Like, well, I guess obviously because you can hear me. So I need to pause this, huh?
I can't hear the video either.
Okay.
Add 5 and -2. 5 plus -2, which is the same as 5 minus 2, is equal to 3.
Okay.
And on the right side,
how about now? Can you hear it now?
35 minus 8
don't need common denominators.
27.
Okay. For multiplying,
I think we have two different videos. Do you have a YouTube video going up right now
What
too?
should we do next at this point? The next thing we should do is combine the x variables. Let's add 6x to both sides. So that
Jeez. Okay.
And then
is this one going?
Multiply
Yep.
Everyone else?
the numerators together. And multiply the denominators together. Alright, so you multiply the tops and you multiply the bottoms. And if we've done a good job of reducing to start with, then we shouldn't have to reduce at the end. Lastly, for dividing, we're going to do a little two-step process. Right? The first step is we're going to reciprocal the second fraction. If you remember what reciprocal means, it means flip it over. Okay, so you can, after you do that, then we're just going to multiply. Okay, so it's reciprocal, the second fraction, and then multiply. All right, so let's do some examples. Okay, so if you need to, pause the video and you can copy down the first example into your note page.
So maybe at this point you would pause it and make sure you were caught up on, you know, what had been written down up above. Okay, maybe if there was, is there something you thought of as like a side note, something that was important about these three things that maybe you put that off to the side? And then we'll copy that first problem down.
Down the first example into your note page, right? And then unpause it and we'll do this first problem together. Okay. So in the first problem, it says 2/3 minus 1/5. The denominators are not the same, so we're going to get common denominators. All right, so I'm looking what number can I multiply 3 and 5 by to get a common factor, a common multiple. So that would be, we could get to 15. So I need to multiply the first fraction by 5 on the top and the bottom. And the second fraction, I need to multiply by 3 on the top and the bottom. And that'll get me the common denominator of 15. Okay, so when I do that, I get 10 over 15 minus 3 over 15. Notice I've got my common denominator, so now I can combine them. 10 minus 3 is 7 over 15. The bottom stays the same. Right? It's just 7 over 15. There's my answer. Okay. Let's try number 2. All right, in number 2, you'll notice that the 3 is not really written in a fraction form right now. So we got to give it a denominator, and that denominator, anytime it's a whole number, is always going to be 1. Right? This makes the common denominator really easy. All I got to do is multiply both the top and the bottom by 12 to get my common denominator of 12. And that gets me a new fraction here of 7 over 12 plus 36 over 12. Right? And when I combine that, I get, 43 over 12. That doesn't reduce, so that's my answer. All right? Let's move on to multiplying now. All right, in problem number 3, we've got a multiplication example here. Once you got it copied down, let's go ahead and give this a...
Sure.
Thank you.
To this one? So this is exactly like
Yes.
if you need to pause it and rewind, you can. Okay, and then we'll give everyone a second to kind of catch up. Anyone have a note that they've written on the other side yet?
I said for multiplying fractions, I can like cross reduce too.
Ooh, good. We'll see that in a second. All right, number 3.
All right, in problem number 3, we've got a multiplication example here. Once you got it copied down, let's go ahead and give this a shot. So for multiplying, I don't care about common denominators, all right? My goal is first to reduce and then multiply across the top and the bottom. All right, well, if I look at this problem here, I see 4/3, I see a 5 on the bottom, a 2 on the top. I don't see any numbers that are going to reduce from the top to the bottom, okay, which means that I can multiply. So on the top, I get 4 times 2 is 8 over 3 times 5 is 15, and that's my answer. Okay. 8 over 15 doesn't reduce, and if you've correctly seen that it doesn't reduce in the beginning, then your final answer won't reduce either. Right. Let's take a look at another problem here. This one's likely to reduce. Let's see what happens here.
And just in case you need another second there. And then number 4.
See what happens here. Okay, so I've got 5/6 times 7/10. Now individually those fractions don't reduce, but one of the things to look out for is you can reduce diagonally too. So 10 and 6 both can divide by 2. So I'm going to cut those both in half. All right, so the 10 becomes a 5, the 6 becomes a 3 because I'm just dividing both of them by 2. All right, well, when I do that, I get 5 times 5 is 25 on top, 3 times 7 is 21 on the bottom, 25 over 21 doesn't reduce, so there's my final answer there. Okay, now to do some dividing. For
So notice that cross-reducing there that was just mentioned, right? So you can, if you have numbers like 10 and 6, top and bottom, now this only works on multiplying, right? It doesn't work on addition.
For problem number 5, we've got 3/4 divided by 5/8. You got to be careful when you see that division symbol. The first thing we have to do is turn it into a multiplication problem, and we do that by doing the reciprocal always, always, always of the second fraction. So we say take the reciprocal. Okay, so when I do that, 3/4 stays the same. The division sign, now we're turning this into a multiplication problem. Okay, and 5/8 flips over, becomes 8/5. Okay, the reason this works, okay, is that division equals, or it is multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so when I multiply by the reciprocal, which is what I've just set up here, I'm doing the same thing as division. Okay, so let's see here. Now I can try to reduce, and so what we've got here is that the 8 and the 4 can both be divided by 4, actually. So we're going to, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 4 divided by 4 is 1. I'm just reducing diagonally there. And that's going to give me 3 times 2 is 6, over 1 times 5 is 5, right? And 6/5 doesn't reduce. That's my final answer here.
Just make sure you see, like, so the 6 came from the 3 times the 2 on the top, because we reduced the 8 and the 4. The 5 came from the 1 times the 5 on the bottom.
Answer here. All right, one more practice problem with division.
There's one problem left in the video.
So here we have 6 divided by 2/3, right? 6 divided by 2/3. Well, just like we saw in one of the examples earlier, when I have the number like 6, where it's just a whole number, I need to turn it into a fraction, okay? So there's 6 divided by 2/3. Okay, I need to take that second fraction and I need to do the reciprocal of it. So now I get 6 over 1 times, so I'm multiplying by the reciprocal, multiplied by 3 over 2. I flipped it over. Okay, let's look for reducing. 6 and 2 here can be reduced. They both divide by 2. So that's going to give me 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I get a nice easy answer here. 3 times 3 is 9, over 1 times 1 is 1. So that's, my answer is just 9. Okay, so there's our little fraction review. Look over, mark down any questions you have about problems that maybe you didn't quite understand or you have a question about. And thanks for watching.
Mr. Comerford, just a real quick question. Are we wanting everyone to change things from improper fractions back to mixed numbers, or are we just leaving it as improper fractions?
Great question. We are going to leave things as improper fractions almost entirely in this class.
Bonus for all of you. In 8th grade, we changed everything back, so woohoo!
Yeah, leave them as, but they should be simplified, so reduced completely. So last thing real quick, I know we're running a little low on time, so hopefully that went okay. We'll have more time to kind of digest that tomorrow. All right, on your weekly calendar, just a reminder to check your weekly calendar here. You do have a little homework assignment tonight. It's not too many problems, okay, but it's in that Algebra 1 binder, that big packet in, I think, it came in a binder, right? A 3-ring binder for you. So it's it's 3 pages, but it's like 3 quick problems, then 4 problems, and then 6 problems. So it maybe looks like a lot, but it's not as much as it seems. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that on a notebook page, and then you're going to scan it and submit it to Schoology, like we practiced last week with the scavenger hunt and I think one other thing, okay? And so your goal is to do that before class tomorrow. If you're having trouble with the scanning part, we will work on that with you in class tomorrow. But these 3 pages there are the problems you're going to try. Any questions about that?